Arash, my man. Hour one of the program, eh? A little bit different. We're changing it up. I know you're a busy guy.
I appreciate you making that happen. Big help for my day.
So I'm at home on the weekend. Or when did it come down? Friday night, Sunday night, Saturday night, one of the nights. Everything's blending together.
Sunday night, I think.
And I go, oh, Vladimir Guerrero talk again. And I'm like, oh no, it's done. This is real. And I'm like, 14 years, $500 million. Did this have to happen for the Blue Jays?
Barney, it had to happen. It had to happen. I mean, you're talking about the face of the franchise. You're talking about, and I think you and I have talked about this before, number 27 jerseys, I would say 3 out of every 4 are Vlad jerseys in that building. This is a transformative player, a generational player, a face of the franchise player. And, like, honestly, if his name was Juan Martinez, it'd be so different. Because in our country, Vladimir Guerrero is not just a second-generation ball player. Like, he was the heart and soul of the Expos, too. Like, Vlad's a guy, because of the lineage, that I think that no matter what happens, if you say Blue Jays to anybody in this country, if they know anything about the ball club, it's 27. And now you have a guy who is going to be, well, first of all, he's the 3rd highest paid player in the history of the game. He's behind, Ohtani and Soto now. Now you're sending a message to your fan base that you're here for good. The other thing you're telling, Barney, is the rest of that locker room, the rest of that clubhouse, we're not dismantling things. We're here to win. And if you brought up the point, remember, trade deadline, if they're below 500, what happens? That now all goes away. It has to go away because you're giving the guy all the money.
Hang on to your jerseys. He's here. Right. You don't have to go get a new one or be that weirdo that wears the jersey of someone that just got traded. No. Okay, but I'm trying to go through my brain. And again, I'm not like the hardo baseball fan, but guys that the Blue Jays have nurtured, they drafted and they developed and signed or then getting a major extension. Who am I missing? Is this really the first big one?
Well, it's the first big one in, I'd say, like the social media era.
Okay.
Yeah. Like, regimes ago, they gave it to Vernon Wells and they gave it to Roy Halladay. But like Alejandro Kirk last week got, $58 million or something like that. He's the first one that's been homegrown to get an extension in this regime. So it's one thing to go trade for guys. It's another thing to bring in free agents like Kevin Gausman and George Springer. But there's a message there that we can draft, or sign and develop, draft and develop. That has to be part of your identity, of your DNA as a ball club.
14 years is a long time. And what's the shelf life on that frame? Like, I saw him running the bases already. Is he 26? Like
25, he's turns 26. Look, the last few years of the deal are not going to be, ideal. But like these are the things that happen. These are the things that you have to do. It's what Miguel Cabrera was in Detroit. It's what Albert Pujols was at the end of his deal. This is the cost of doing business. And there's the guy right there. For those watching on the stream, this is what I wonder. Remember, Barney, Vlad signed in 15. Bo Bichette was drafted in 16. They came up together in the minors. They're friends. What now happens with Bichette? They have been a package deal the whole way, right?
Yeah, that was my next question. Where do you think? Have you heard anything? And then, but maybe first off, where do you think what happens with Bo?
So Bo's a free agent at the end of the year. He signed a 3-year deal. He didn't go to arbitration. Last year missed half the games with an injury. But Bichette's in an interesting spot because when he's been healthy and he's been hot, he's been as good a player as there is in baseball. The problem is he hasn't been there. Now, he told my former colleague, Shai Davidi, in the Fenway Park locker room a day or two ago, he said they haven't even talked. So, look, it's a prove-it year for Bichette. It is a walk year for Bichette. And this is a full bet-on-yourself year for Bichette. I can't foresee a scenario where the Blue Jays, where Bichette doesn't get to at least the end of the season without a contract. Like, I think this is okay, go 162, let's see where we're at. And, you don't have an exclusive negotiating window, but you kind of do when the season ends, for that month of, is there something here or not? And I don't know. Because I don't know what the number is, because I don't know what Bichette's market number is going to be, because we haven't seen him be fully healthy in a while.
If it was this week, what do you think it would be? Injury included.
I think if I'm Bo, at that point, I take a 1-year deal and a prove-it deal and a bet on myself deal. Kind of like what Marcus Semien did. He left Oakland. He came here to Toronto in 21, had a monster year, played all 162, and then got over $200 million from the Texas Rangers and went on to win a World Series. There are some times along the way, like, life's about timing, free agency's about timing. And I think for Bichette, hey, let me sign a 1 year and then see where it can take me right now. Now, let's have this conversation in September and see where things are.
I respect anybody that bets on themselves. Now, a lot of times you could look like an absolute fool. You could have a lot of I told you so's, but that takes stones. And I like it. What do you think he wants to do? Like, you've been around him, you know him. Like, do you think he likes Toronto enough? He likes the coming up with Vladdie, all that. What do you think?
It's a good question. Bo's a cards close to the vest kind of guy. Look, I think he wants to win. I heard the chime. I don't know what that's about. Is that an inside joke? I just missed that.
It's just these guys. Yeah, they're trying to rip it off from another show. Let's go.
Cards close to the vest guy. Look, he wants to win. He wants to play every day. He wants to be a star. He wants to get paid. He wants to win. Does he believe all of that can happen in Toronto? That remains the question. Will the Blue Jays extend the kind of dollars that it'll take to sign a Bo Bichette if he has a monster year? That's another question. Like you're paying Guerrero 35-ish, 36-ish a year. You still have Jose Barrios for 3 more years. You have Gausman for another year, et cetera, et cetera. Are 2 infielders to you worth doing that and extending that offer too? That's the question too. It's a two-way street, Barney. Are the Blue Jays interested in making Bichette a big part of their future plans?
Blue Jays, what are they, in Boston today? My mom was telling me earlier that it looks like it's raining in Boston. Like, great.
It looked like February in Boston last night.
Yeah, I don't know if my mom's maybe watching one of the locals from Boston, and I'm like, what are you following the weather now in the New England area? Okay, let's shift it to the CFL. I wanted to get your take on this. Maz and I talked about it yesterday, and the Riders were doing a Florida camp, or a couple of camps in Florida, testing the waters, collecting
free agent camp, sure,
Vimos or e-transfers or whatever for guys to come run around in their short pants, see if they can catch and run and kick or do whatever. Now, I think it's a love of the game thing for some guys. For some of the younger guys, it's like, hey, I just need my shot. I didn't get my shot, which is hard to believe, because in this day and age, if you go through a college career and you got a lot of tape, it's not like the 80s, right? A lot of tape. Guys can watch you play. Every football game in the history of the planet's on TV somewhere. You can watch it. So I find it hard for a guy to really fall through the cracks in this day and age.
But it's not just that. And I think that one of the things to think about is Alex Singleton. Alex Singleton comes out of college, Montana or Montana State, I can't remember which one. And the only reason he ended up in pro football is because, like, he had a parent that was a Canadian. So he qualified in those days as a non-import, as a Canadian. Now, Alex Singleton at age 21, 22 wasn't a professional. He wasn't an NFL caliber player. But he came up here and 3-4 years, I think it was 4 or 5 years of reps, of physically filling out, of understanding how to watch film, being a pro, et cetera, transformed himself by the time he was 26, 27 years old to getting an opportunity to signing in Philly, ends up in Denver, has created a nice little career for himself. The player and the athlete and the person you are at age 21 can be so different by the time you're 25 or 26. And especially if you're I'm just going to throw this out as an example of a scenario, Barney. If you're a junior in college, you're 3 games into your season, you blow your knee. By the time you're a senior, you're still not right. You may have gone to a small school. You may not have academically qualified. Those are some of the people who fall through the cracks.
Yeah.
Right? It's not just the 4 or 5 year players that they're looking at. There are a lot of people in different circumstances. Could come from a JUCO, could come from a Division II school. You see something there, you're like, man, there's something there that we can work with for a couple of years to turn into a ball player.
That's a good point. I didn't think it about that much. You know, sometimes guys have to go home, right? Whatever, family things. Right. Back in the day, it's like, no, I had to go back and help on the farm around Sasky. You heard about with hockey guys. Yeah, no. So I didn't quite think of that. What do you think though about the CFL in general and guys making that decision? Because we all want to chase the dream, whatever your dream is, whatever your profession is, wherever you want to be. Like that window to chase that dream professionally is small. I wonder though too how much of a fact for some guys, current players that are maybe on the bubble, or guys coming up that they sit and look at the 70-cent dollar or even below and go, I don't know. I love chasing dreams, but chasing dreams doesn't pay the bills.
My man, I need you to think back to when you were 22 years old, 21 years old, 23 years old.
The one thing I could stretch a Mickey of Silent Sam vodka like 10 days back then.
Right.
Just chase it with Gatorade, get to where you need to go, and then regroup later. Okay, go ahead.
The common denominator among all professional athletes is a supreme confidence. And for so many of them, it's give me a chance. Give me a chance to go up there. Let me play. Let me show what I can do. I'll get an opportunity. That'll be my chance to get back into the league, talking about the NFL. Or that may be an opportunity for me just to play. I just want to play. This may be an opportunity, okay, foot in the door, etc. Or also, Barney, and I'm being dead serious with this, a lot of these guys don't have other options. I'll still never forget arriving at the Orlando airport to the National Car Rental and a former first team SEC basketball player taking care of my car rental. You know, so it's one of those things where you want to play, you have supreme confidence that this can turn into something, you're looking for an adventure, you want to just keep this going for a few more years until, I'm going to move on with my life. There are so many different people in so many different scenarios who kind of take a look at this. But ultimately, if you come up here for the money you're making, you're not taking much home. So I just want to do this. And even people have become friends of mine, Canadians who played in the league coming out of, youth sports schools. They're like, what a way when you're 23 to 27 to learn about life in a locker room. Like, there is no better education on getting to know a human being from a different background than to share a locker room with them and to learn perspectives and all those kinds of things. And that kind of weighs into it too.
And etiquette and Yeah.
Discipline.
Being two-faced, being a backstab. Like there's, you know what I mean? No, like sports teaches
You run into all of it. You see the gamut, right?
Oh yeah. Like you only last so long in certain locker rooms if you're that guy that's like going to the boss and tattling. Like it's like, let me guess, you never played any team sports growing up. Am I right? Yeah. No, it's correct. Yeah, it's a good point. What and the other, so I talked about this a little bit yesterday with Maz, and I was like, I want to get Arash's take because I heard it on the weekend, and you can go down any rabbit hole you want in social media with the new commissioner, and then kind of the piling on to Randy Ambrosie. Again, I didn't really know the guy. I'm sure it's not an easy job. Could I do it? I don't know. I'd take a run at it, but I probably couldn't. That was a joke. Coles is looking at me like I'm serious. The one thing was not having the league play during COVID because there was nothing else going on. And then I went back to that time and I was like looking through pictures where my wife was like cutting my hair and my kids' hair. And it was just weird. And people are gathering on, driveways and we're going grocery shopping. You feel like you were, am I coming back? Like I might never see my family again. It was just a weird time. And we had this fear and then it kind of got a little bit better, but I was like, man, there was no way we were playing football in Canada during COVID.
But why? But here's the thing. The CTL,
the fear of God was put into all of us from, the people above and all that. Like, I feel like we were just so, I don't want to use the word brainwash, but I will, that it was like just this fear factor. And if they would have played football, there would have been groups and snowflakes and health. And
Marty, let me stop you, man. The NHL played. The NBA played. Hold on. Okay, you're saying those are premier leagues, right? Well, the Canadian Elite Basketball League played. The Saskatoon Rattlers and Friends. The Canadian Premier League Soccer League played. They both had a bubble of their own. There was a bubble presented to Randy Ambrosie and company. Randy was just so late on everything. He was so gun-shy on everything. There was a medical committee that presented things to him. And then, my biggest issue was not that. My biggest issue was, he said, we're not going to play in 20. Okay. We're going to use this time to fix the business model, to make things better, to create a sustainable financial model for the league. And nothing's changed. Then the next year at Grey Cup, he said, we fixed the business model. He actually said that twice in his State of the Union address. And then when somebody asked him, well, how have you fixed the business model? His answer, Barney, and I swear, his answer was, I didn't say that. So cue the cartoon music,
I don't think the NHL bubble, and we talked about that. That was I would like to know the amount of work that went into making that happen and making it run fairly smooth and seamless. Canadian Basketball League, totally forgot about that. Not even sure what that would have all entailed. I don't know. So they would have capitalized on the TV deal and the fact that there was nothing else going on, and you had where were they going to bubble? Do you know that?
I do. I want to say Winnipeg was one of the places. I think they had two places in mind. I mean, it was 5 years ago now.
Just put everyone at the Viscount Gort there on Portage.
What a reference! Outstanding. The Canad Inn's Polo Park Motel.
I was at the Viscount Gort last year, and they still had all the COVID stuff up, like the screen. I had to hand my card through a little slot. And I'm like, this is like a COVID museum. This is awesome. Takes me back.
Did the lobby bar still have the white leather couches and all the dartboards up on the wall?
Oh, no, I don't know. I was deep into the silent. I was deep into the silent Sam by the time I went down there.
There you go. You didn't have to nurse the Mickey last year.
What are you most looking forward to? CFL. I know we're in April, but as we sit in April on April 8th, What are you most looking forward to? And this might change in a month.
Nathan Rourke. Look, took the league by storm, went down, had the NFL thing, came back last year, just wasn't ready, etc. I mean, I follow him on IG. He is posting QB motion videos all the time. He is putting in the work. Can Nathan Rourke recreate the magic from a few years ago and really take the league by storm? Like, this is no disrespect to Milligan in Saskatchewan or Oliveira in Winnipeg. The CFL lacked a superstar last year. Yeah, Bo turned it on towards the end of the season in Hamilton just to get in. But there is no player in the league that can grab national attention the way Nathan Rourke can. And here's his shot now. Okay, can he do it? You know, he has a full off season. He can get with Buck Pierce. He can learn the offense. He can do all those things. Time is on his side, etc., etc. That to me is the question.
I think a lot of people are really curious on that. I'm really curious on how he plays, how he bounces back for sure. Came down late yesterday afternoon. We were doing the show. Shocking. The passing of former NHL goaltender, broadcaster, Hockey Night in Canada, Sportsnet, all that, Greg Millen. And he's a guy that, when it came down and Coulson and Curtis are here, and I'm like, didn't we just have him in here like a month ago? And then when was it? It was early December 5th. If you're watching the stream, there he is. Like, Greg sat right in that chair right there. And it was such a good interview and conversation, Arash, and just from listening to the fan today, and I don't know what your memories are and where you want to go, but the one thing, and I can honestly say this, and it's kind of cheesy when people pass away and everyone's like, oh, but the one thing from my one meeting with him and spending 40 minutes with Greg or whatever it was, and the on camera and the off camera was, man, he was honest. Like, I loved that. Like, there was probably things that he told Barney, who he just met a little while ago. Like, I'm like, I don't know, are we that tight already, Greg? He was just honest, shot from the hip. Like, I appreciated that. What are your memories? What was? I'm sure you worked with him. You spent a lot of time with him.
Yeah, traveled up and down the road with him in my days covering hockey on Hockey Night in Canada. When my former employer made the change to take me off Blue Jays, the first call that I got was from Greg Millen. When my former employer parted ways with me last month, 3 times, Barney, 3 times in less than a month, I received calls from Greg Millen. First one to say, WTF. The next 2, checking in, how you doing, blah, 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 thinking of you, hey, asking around what's going on. Greg, like, for those who are watching the stream, like, may have been the most fit 67-year-old you'll ever see. And those looking on the stream now, this is a shot at the lobby bar in Glendale, Arizona. We had done a Coyotes Senators game, myself, Greg Millen, and the great Bob Cole. And Millsy just loved Bob and did everything possible to lift Bob up, especially the last few years that Bob was on the call. The first Hockey Night game I ever did when Sportsnet got the package, I think in 2013, 2014, it was the 3 of us in Tampa for the Lightning and the Senators. Millsy had an amazing ability, Barney, that he could go to any player, any coach, and they give him all the time. Like John Tortorella, who was short with everybody, I remember in Ottawa distinctly, down that hallway outside the visitor's room, when Tortorella was coaching the Blue Jackets, they stood for like 25 minutes talking about leadership. And what makes a winning organization? What makes a championship team? He was the leader of, he understood that the producer and the director and the stats person and the sideline reporter and the camera people and the graphics people, we were all a team. Millsy was the one after saying, we all have to meet in the lobby bar for a milkshake. Millsy was the one who made sure, like, he was a teammate and the leader of the team, and just an amazing guy.
Yeah, no, it's shocking. Yeah, it's shocking. Great guy. Man, the one question I asked him, and he loved it, I said, like, what were you wearing on your head, Greg? And I remember my old hockey cards and stickers, and I'm like, man, Greg Millen looked bad in his gear. And he's like, was it like a Tupperware or the mask? And he just loved it. He was just like, yeah, I have no idea what I was doing. I don't know what I was thinking back then. It was comfortable. Yeah.
So here's a story for you. A story for you. So Millsy's so he never begrudged the athlete of today making the money they did. But the one thing he would say is they can't complain about the travel. Because he's like, my rookie year, we're on a back-to-back. We're traveling commercial. So here I am trying to stay in the NHL. You know, you play, say, in Chicago, and then the next day you have to fly to New York. So you get back from the rink. By the time you get to the hotel, it's like 11 o'clock or midnight. But then 4 a.m., you got to be in the lobby to take a bus to the airport. Here I am as the rookie having to play the second game of a back-to-back. And as the rookie, I'm in the back of the plane in a middle seat between two guys in suits who are smoking. They're blowing cigarette smoke in my face. And I'm just trying to get 2 hours of sleep before having to start an NHL game as a rookie. So I always think about that when I think of Millsy, the two businessmen blowing smoke in his face.
That's a good one. Okay, before we let you go here, I got to ask you one question. There's two massive hockey games in the province tonight. We got a Game 7 in Prince Albert between Edmonton and Prince Albert Raiders in the Western Hockey League, and then down the road in Weyburn, Game 3, Weyburn and Flin Flon in the SJ. Now, we started it with talking about sporting event etiquette, and my big one is walking, getting up, coming to your seat while the play's on. Like, I'm just like, that drives me insane. What would be, and then Colson talked about being nice to the parking attendants, the concession staff. Curtis kind of talked about being obnoxious, the obnoxious fan, all that. What would be, another one for me is swearing by young kids. Like not having the wherewithal of knowing all that. What would be your top one, Arash?
So who's the home team? Who's the road team in one of those games?
Prince Albert's at home tonight against Edmonton.
Okay, so if I'm an Edmonton fan, I'm coming into that rink. I don't care about Prince Albert. I don't care about your team. I'm cheering for my team. I'm not rooting against you. I'm not hoping things go wrong for you. I just want my team to win. I think a real part of the etiquette is, hey, like, I remember going to Cleveland once, Vikings playing the Browns, and the guy next to me is like, hey, bleep hole. He's like, you're welcome here because you hate your team way more than we hate your team. Don't swear around kids, and to hell with the opponent. You're rooting for your team, however it is the way you're going to root for your team.
And if you're standing room, here's the other question. If you're doing a standing room thing, doesn't matter what barn, what's a respectable time that you hold your buddy's spot before you got to give that up? Start of the game.
Whatever the length of time would be to 1, hit the bathroom, 2, grab a beer. So in a barn like that, 6 to 7 minutes.
Yeah, you hope the lineups. And I said, you just hope the bathroom lineups aren't long, and you start guzzling. Right. Yeah, no. All right, buddy. Thanks so much. Have a great weekend. You got Maz next week. I'm off. I'll be either celebrating my Masters. Oh yeah, Thursday. Yeah, Thursday. I thought it was Thursday for a second. Woohoo! Silent Sam's flowing, bud. All right.
I was gonna say, were you up getting a refill of the standing room section or what?
Okay, talk to you Thursday, Ash.
Good boys.